Hello and welcome to Unacademy, one-stop destination for civil services aspirants. Welcome to another session of Places in News, where we bring for you all the important areas across the globe which have been in news for the month of September 2025. As a candidate, what is expected out of you? Take a look at all these regions, their locations, why they have been in news, and solve the practice question at the end of each of these topics and put the correct answer in the comment section below. Let us take a look at how many of you are able to get all the questions correct. Now, in this particular month's edition, we are going to discuss around 10 different areas which have been in news. And mind you, there are certain areas such as the Ramsar sites and also the biosphere reserves which have been in news. But we are not discussing it under this section. We will discuss it as we have been doing in the monthly current affairs section for environment and ecology. So this is purely from the perspective of geographical learning that we are going to approach these. So, starting first of all, we are going to discuss some of the countries like Venezuela, which is a region of a global conflict now, then China, Qatar, Djibouti, Mauritius, these areas, and within our country as well, some of the water storage regions such as the Almatti Dam, the Pong Dam, and also the region of Palk Bay. Now, one by one, let us take a look at each of these. But before that, an important announcement for all the civil services aspirants. Now, we have come up with a very lucrative offer in order to help you prepare for the examination in the best possible manner. Because for any aspirant, what is required that in the most affordable manner, you are able to cover all the GS subjects, the entirety of the syllabus, along with the test series and also the required guidance. So for that, we have come up with a lucrative offer of 19,999 with 12-month free extension. All that you have to do is use the code IAS English and get that mentorship from the top educators of the country. Now, having said that, we come to the first region and the first country in news, and that is the country of Venezuela. So, when we say Venezuela, now this is a region of a global conflict which is emerging and unfurling in front of our own eyes. US and Venezuela, they have been at loggerheads, with United States alleging the drug boats coming out of Venezuela and the US Air Force being deployed in order to destroy these drug boats in the region of the Caribbean Sea. So for us, as a candidate and as a student of geography, it is important to know the region of Venezuela in itself, which are the various different locations within it, the various different features, and the water bodies surrounding that region. So when you take a look at the location of Venezuela, it is in South America. Now here, you will find that it is surrounded by variety of various different water bodies from Caribbean Sea in the north to the region of Atlantic in the eastern portion. It also has the region of the Gulf of Venezuela here and Lake Maracaibo in the region of the Gulf of Venezuela. It is drained by one of the larger rivers of South America, that is the river Orinoco, which forms a very fertile delta as it drains and merges with the Atlantic Ocean. Now, on the western part and the northwestern part of Venezuela, you will find the continuation of the Andes mountain. So that is where this Andes mountain region, it is a region of highlands which are present with some of the mountain peaks also. Here, when you talk about Mount Bolivar or Pico Bolivar, it is the tallest peak of and the highest peak of Venezuela. In the southern part, you have the Guyana Highlands, which also serves as a mineral-rich region. Along with that, it is a region where many of the river systems do originate. You will also find very large tropical grasslands in the form of llanos. The tropical grasslands of Venezuela, that is llanos. Now let us take a detailed look and a look at another map as well. So first of all, the physical features broadly can be classified into 5 different divisions. The Andean highland, which is the extension of the Andes, highest peak is Pico Bolivar, around 5,000 meters above sea level. Llanos, vast grasslands, very fertile plains, and major cattle rearing and oil exploration zone. In particular, around the region of Lake Maracaibo, that is where you have large amount of fossil fuel deposits. And mind you, Venezuela has been one of the top exporters of fossil fuel, natural gas, as well as oil and petroleum products from this particular region. Now, Guyana Highlands to the southeast, very rich in iron ore and other mineral reserves as well. It is an ancient plateau, heavily forested, and it is also the site of the world's highest waterfall, that is the Angel Fall. So, Angel Falls, the world's highest waterfall, is situated in which country? It is in the country of Venezuela. Then, when you talk about the Maracaibo Basin, it is in the northwestern part around the lake and the Gulf of Venezuela. It is a low lying coastal basin with extensive petroleum fields. And eventually, you have the coastal ranges which run parallel to the Caribbean coast, and that is where you have the Caracas Valley as well. So, this is another detailed map that you will come across. And this is helpful in order to point out the water bodies. So here you see the region of Gulf of Venezuela. You have the Caribbean Sea to the north, Atlantic Ocean to the east in the region of the Orinoco Delta. Now here you have Gulf of Paria. Now Gulf of Paria is present in between Trinidad and Tobago and the region of Venezuela. Trinidad and Tobago is another portion that we have covered in the previous places in news. I hope the subsequent revisions would have happened. Now, here you have the Bolivar Peak, the highest peak in the region of Venezuela. And in the central portion, you find the grassland, that is the tropical grassland of Llanos, where pastoralism and herd pastoralism becomes a common occupation. Then here you have the Angel Falls, the highest falls and the waterfall across the globe. So here the surrounding water bodies, you have Caribbean Sea in the north, which provides eventually the drainage in Atlantic Ocean and the linkage to Atlantic Ocean. Atlantic Ocean in itself is in the northeastern part, closer to the Orinoco Delta region. Then Lake Maracaibo, which opens up into the Gulf of Venezuela. It is a large brackish inland sea, right? Salt water, saline water is present in this region. Then you have the Gulf of Venezuela. Now, this Gulf of Venezuela shares its boundary with the country and the surrounding neighbor of Colombia as well. And then, obviously, the Orinoco River system becomes a very important and vital lifeline for the prosperity and the agrarian output of Venezuela. But when we talk about the mineral reserves of this country, the Guyana Highlands, which is a very old plateau region, it is a shield volcano in general with very little outpouring rugged features out there. So it is very featureless to say the least. So it is rich in iron ore, bauxite, gold, diamonds, some amount of nickel as well. And that is the region of the mining hub. Cerro Bolivar, for example, is well known for the presence of iron reserves. The Maracaibo Basin that we have talked about, major crude oil and natural gas deposits can be found in this region. Okay, now let us take a look at the practice question, a simple practice question. Question number 1, that is, which of the following physical features of Venezuela is described as a vast grassland region known for cattle rearing and oil exploration? Take a look at this and let us know what is the correct answer for this. Okay, so this is easy, but then this is a kind of question when it is framed with the multiple other questions can be troublesome for you. But let us see how many of us are able to put the correct answer in the comment section below. Now, the next country in question or in news in the early part of September was the country of China. And that was because of the hosting of the SCO Summit that was done in Tianjin region of China. Now, China is a region very blessed with natural resources as well as very varied topography is. So important to take a look at the map of the region of China. So if you take a look at it, here in Tianjin, that is where the SCO summit was held. Now, overall, you will find that the general slope of the land is from west to the east. That is why majority of the river systems here, they start from the western portion and they drain into the east. In the western portion, you will find various different mountain systems like the Tian Shan mountain systems, even the Kunlun Shan mountain systems. They are present, the Altun Shan mountain systems, they are present in the western region. Western region, or that is the Xinjiang province of China, that is also a desertified area in general. Now it is drained by very large rivers, Huanghe, which is also known as the Yellow River or the cradle of civilization in early China. That ends up depositing large amount of fluvial materials or yellowish materials, forming the lowest basin in this area. And you have large amount of lowest plateau or the lowest base deposits which are carried out. Then one of the largest rivers of Asia, that is Yangtze River, is also the one which drains through the region of China. Now here in the northern part you will find that Amur River, that forms or that is a transboundary river which forms a natural frontier between Russia and China. China is also connected to the Korean peninsula. So it shares its contiguous boundary with North Korea, but does not share the boundary with the region of South Korea. So overall, the physical features of the region of China, that is also what is referred to as a three-step relief pattern. The first step of greatest altitude in the western portion. So Tibetan Highland, Kunlun Shan, the portion of the Himalayas, and even the Pamir Knot, right, which is also referred to as the roof of the world. Now that is the first step. Three steps, right? Second step is the central portion, slightly lesser elevation. You will find the Tarim Basin, the lowest plateau. All these areas are situated in the central area. Then the third step is the eastern portion. That is the plain area, the deltaic region. This is where you have larger population concentration and density in the region of China. Then across the country, you also have the mountains and deserts which can be categorized separately. However, the mountains mostly come into the first step, but then nonetheless, Tian Shan, Altai Shan, Kinling Ranges, Taklamakan, and the Gobi deserts, these are some of the major deserts of the region. Then the major rivers, Yangtze, the longest, vital for inland transportation as well as for hydroelectric production. Yellow River, based upon the amount of silt or the yellow deposits that they carry, that is Huanghe. It is also known as the cradle of Chinese civilization. It is this Yellow River which carries these deposits from the lowest regions and ends up creating the lowest plateau. Then the Pearl River, that is also referred to as the Xinjiang. Now it is the economic lifeline for the southern part of China, which is agriculturally very important, particularly for the rice and the paddy fields in the region. And then the Amur River that forms the boundary between Russia and China. Now here, if you take a look at the water bodies surrounding this region, you will find you have variety of water bodies from Yellow Sea, right? Yellow Sea is the portion or the water body which is present between South Korea and China. Then you have the Pacific Ocean, then South China Sea. This is the overall boundary region. You also basically have the Bohai Sea. Bohai Sea is present here between Dalian, which is an important port industrial town, that is Dalian, and the Tianjin region. This is the region of the Bohai Sea, which is marked here. Okay, so East China Sea, it is present to the east, key maritime trade zone. South China Sea, which is heavily contested, disputed as well. Then Yellow Sea, we have taken a look at the location between the Korean peninsula and the region of China. Then Bohai Sea, it is the innermost gulf. Major ports of Dalian, Tianjin, they are situated there. And Pacific Ocean forms the eastern boundary. China is blessed with natural resources. When it comes to coal, it is the world's largest producer and consumer, but it is also the largest producer of rare earth elements across the world in terms of the refining capability. Gold, tungsten, tin, graphite, in all these, it is the largest producer. Second largest producer of bauxite and aluminium, as well as the fourth largest producer of iron ore. These are some of the major minerals that we talk about. South China Sea is said to hold a lot of fossil fuels as well. That is why there is so much amount of dispute associated. But also, it has got a lot of methane hydrates, which are again energy minerals and source of future energy. So that is the region and the physiography of China. Now, why it was in news? It was in news owing to the convening of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit. When we talk about the Shanghai Cooperation Organization very briefly, Now, this entire setup or the grouping was initiated by Russia and China way back in 2001. Now, China and Russia were the key drivers of it, but along with that, you had Central Asian countries, that is the Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, and Uzbekistan. These were the initial founding members. So all these Centralistans that you have, so basically the Kazakh state, the Kyrgyz state, the Tajik state, and the Uzbek, there is one state which is missing, that is Turkmenistan. Always important to know this, that Turkmenistan is not a part of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, because China has always looked at Turkmenistan with a suspicious eye. That is, when you talk about the ETIM, it refers to ETIM as a militant group backed by Turkmenistan, which China seeks to be responsible for all the disturbance which is created in Xinjiang region. So, because of that hostile relation, Turkmenistan will never be a part of the SCO. So, very easy to remember: China, Russia, all the other Central Asian countries other than Turkmenistan. Eventually, many other countries also joined the grouping. So, it included India and Pakistan in 2017, Iran in 2023, Belarus in 2024. Overall membership is now close to around 10, and overall the GDP that it is represented is close to around the 40% of the world's population, with close to around one third of the global GDP also. So that is something which the SCO holds as a major power. So that is where, when we talk about the population, 40% of the global population, GDP contribution of SCO is considered to be somewhere around 25 to 30%, including obviously India, China. These are the major backing of the economic growth. So the 10 members: Russia, Belarus, China, India, Iran, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Pakistan, Tajikistan, and Uzbekistan. Let us take a look at the question, the practice question number 2. Which major river in China is specifically referred to in the sources as the cradle of Chinese civilization? Take a look at that and let us know what the correct answer is in the comment section. Qatar was in news for multiple reasons. One reason, owing to the offensive action which was initiated by Israel, due to which eventually Israel apologized to Qatar as well. US extended a net security blanket over Qatar. And also, Qatar has been in news owing to India-Qatar trade talks, which have been in the offing. Now, Qatar is an important oil-rich region present in the area of the Persian Gulf. Now, this is the region of Qatar, yeah, with the capital at Doha. Now, here, as you can see, it is very much in the Persian Gulf. Now, the Strait of Hormuz, that ends up connecting the Gulf of Oman with the Persian Gulf. So, that is the narrow water body. And here you have a protruding landmass, which is the Musandam Peninsula. So, that is the region around Qatar. Now, Qatar obviously shares its boundary with the region of Saudi Arabia and UAE, that is the land boundary, whereas water body is the Persian Gulf. So it is predominantly flat and arid desert, covered mostly by limestone owing to the geological history of this region submerged under sea, and large salt flats which are known as subkhars. So these subkhars that you see, these are present in larger areas across UAE as well, across Qatar as well, even across Saudi Arabia, you'll find them. But limestone is one of the major non-metallic minerals that you will find other than obviously fossil fuels. No permanent rivers or lakes can be found due to very scarce amount of rainfall which is received. So oil and natural gas, the North Field is one of the predominant oil-rich region and LNG-rich region of the area of Qatar, which allows it to dominate the export market of the fossil fuel. Now, North Field LNG makes it a key global energy supplier. Other than that, you will also find limestone and helium. Helium, by the way, is a byproduct in the crude oil and the crude energy industry. So that is why helium in larger amounts is produced by the country of Qatar. It is the member of OPEC Plus, and a leading player in the GECF, the Gas Exporting Countries Forum. And here, the largest US base in the region of West Asia is situated in Qatar, and that is the Al Udeid Air Base. That is a US base which is well equipped. That is why it was a shame that despite this US protection, Israel managed to attack Qatar and it made global headlines. Now, Qatar is home to the North Field, a crucial source for which major global energy supply. Take a look at it and let us know the most appropriate answer. The most appropriate answer is what is required. Djibouti has been in news owing to the international rulings associated with the port area. Now, when we talk about Djibouti, Djibouti is situated at a very crucial area of a narrow water body that is Bab al Mandeb. Now, Bab al Mandeb connects the region of Red Sea to the area of Gulf of Aden. And here you find the region of Djibouti. Now, this is the region of Djibouti, which in this map you will also see as a kind of a triangular area. This is also known as the Danakil Depression or the Afar Triangle. Afar Triangle. Okay. Now, here, basically, this is a country which has such a vital location that multiple different nations have created their military bases. From China to US, you'll find a host of various different military bases in the country of Djibouti. Now, some of the important water bodies, Lake Assal, it is again a low-lying region, and Lake Abbey. These are some of the major water bodies out there. Overall, this is a depressed area. That is the Danakil Depression or the Afar Triangle. So Danakil Depression, one of the lowest and hottest places of the earth, close to around 155 meters below sea level. Now, why is this region at such a great depression? Because this is a place where the African plate is breaking into two. You have the Somali plate and the Nubian plate. And that is where it is splitting into two. That is why you have the Danakil Depression. Contains salt pans, lava fields, and geothermal fields. Lake Assal is a saline crater lake and rich in various salts and gypsum. Right? This is the region of Lake Assal. And Lake Abbey on Ethiopian border, it has got various geothermal vents, lot of potential for renewables, as well as limestone chimneys, which are there. Chimneys means what? That you have limestone, which is almost in a perpendicular position. So that is present in the region of Lake Abbey. So here, this is the kind of a topographical view of the region of Djibouti. So Eritrea to the north, you'll find this is the depressed area, the Danakil Depression or the Afar Depression. Here you have Lake Abbey and Lake Assal. This is Djibouti. So Djibouti is a part of the larger area of the Horn of Africa and is just a subpart in the Afar Triangle. So, which geographical feature in Djibouti is described as one of the lowest and hottest places on Earth, situated 155 meter below the sea level? Take a look at this question. Let us know what is the correct answer in the comment section. Mauritius has been in news owing to the visit of the Prime Minister into our country, and that is where India has pledged close to around $680 million in economic support for Mauritius. So Mauritius is present where? That location becomes relevant. So Port Louis being the capital region. Now Mauritius overall is present in the southern hemisphere. It is a part of the larger group of islands, that is the Mascarene group of islands. If you take a look at it, this is the group of Mascarene Islands. Here you have Mauritius, and here you have the presence of Reunion Islands. Reunion Islands is vital geographically because it is the region of a volcanic hotspot. Volcanic hotspot. And please keep it in mind that it is this volcanic hotspot which was responsible for the creation of the Deccan Traps in India. When Indian plate was lying over this region, as the Indian plate was moving northwards, the volcanic eruption happened close to around 65 million years ago, and that led to the creation of these Deccan Traps. It happened from the region of the Reunion Islands. It is still active in terms of volcanic feature. Now, here in this region, you will find the Chagos Archipelago. Now, Chagos Archipelago was under the British administration for a long period of time, but was claimed by Mauritius, supported by ICJ as well as the UN resolutions. India also backed the Mauritius claim over the region of Chagos Archipelago. But Chagos Archipelago has also been in a lot of news owing to the important military base that is the Diego Garcia. Now, here you will find a lot of atolls are present. Coral rich region, biodiversity rich region, but Diego Garcia is the one which attracts all the news headlines owing to the presence of one of the largest US military bases in Indian Ocean. So that is why you have the Western powers who are unwilling to give up this base of Diego Garcia. So even though the sovereignty of Chagos Archipelago has been given to Mauritius, but Diego Garcia has been retained as a military base by the Western powers. Then Singapore was in news owing to the Prime Minister's visit to India, and India and Singapore they marked the 60 years of strategic economic partnership. Now, when we talk about the region of Singapore, it is a region surrounded by various straits, narrow water channels which provide trade connectivity. So here you have the Strait of Johor, Strait of Singapore, and the Strait of Malacca, which are present in close vicinity. The Strait of Johor, as you would see, basically ends up providing connectivity between Strait of Singapore and the Malacca Strait as well. Now, mind you, it is connected to the Malayan Peninsula through the region of the Johor province of Malaysia. So, Strait of Singapore, the strait connects the Strait of Malacca to the South China Sea, right? That is the one through which all the major water transportation for Chinese requirements and the Chinese trade passes through the Strait of Singapore. Then Strait of Johor, so connects the Strait of Malacca to the Singapore Strait. It separates the Malaysian state of Johor on the Malayan Peninsula from the region of Singapore. And then the Strait of Malacca, it connects the Indian Ocean, specifically the region of Andaman Sea, with the South China Sea. Broadly, South China Sea is a marginal sea of the Pacific Ocean. So broadly, you can consider Strait of Malacca connecting Indian Ocean with Pacific. But if you go into the details of it, the Strait of Malacca connects the Andaman Sea with the region of the South China Sea, providing navigational facility. Okay. Now, the key outcomes between India and Singapore that is relevant for your current affairs. So, digital asset innovation, which was signed between RBI and the Monetary Authority of Singapore to promote cross border financial flow for better trade aspects as well. Green and digital shipping corridor, which is very vital for future shipping ambitions of India, semiconductor, establishment of logistics parks, and a policy dialogue to support India's semiconductor industry. And space technology as well, in terms of the space policy, the R&D associated with the space technology. So these are some of the major outcomes between India and Singapore. Take a look at the practice question. The Strait of Malacca connects the Indian Ocean, that is the Andaman Sea, with which other major oceans? Take a look at it and let us know the correct answer. Then Moldova is in news owing to the fact that it has elected a new leadership and that seems to be going out of the grip of Russian influence now. Now, Moldova, we have discussed it previously as well. So here we will just take a look at the landlocked provisions of Moldova. Now, Moldova is in a way surrounded by Ukraine and Romania. It does not share its boundary with the region of Black Sea. Now, why it was vital geostrategically was basically because of the fact that Russia continued to exert influence in Moldova and thereby could influence the region of Ukraine. But now that Moldova has witnessed a change of regime, so that is why the global headlines came up with a new story that Europe and Africa are slipping out of the grip of Russian state now. Now, the major misconception that the candidates have is that Moldova shares its boundary with Black Sea. It does not. Moldova is not very rich in minerals. In the southeastern part, some amount of fossil fuels have been said to be found, but not a major producer of minerals. Now, UPSC had also asked a question about the boundary regions of Ukraine and the boundary countries of Ukraine. So that is where also the location of Moldova becomes important. Then, within the country, some of the water storage structures were in use. Almatti Dam. So, here, in the portion of the Upper Krishna project, Cabinet gives the nod for acquisition of more land in order to raise the water level. Now, where is Almaty Dam situated and on which river system? Almaty Dam is basically situated across the Krishna river system and it is situated in the state of Karnataka. So, this is where Almaty Dam is basically situated across the Krishna river. Now, it is a major multi-purpose project which was completed in 2005. So irrigational facilities along with the provision of close to around 300 megawatts of energy, that is a substantial contribution in this area which otherwise does not receive very high amount of rainfall. It is located across the Krishna river on the boundary region of Vijaypura and the Bagalkot district of Karnataka. Now here I have provided you with the list of some of the other major dams across river Krishna. So you have the Almaty Dam, then you have the Narayanpur Dam, which is also in the Yadgir district of Karnataka. Then, other than that, you have the Sri Sailam Dam, which is at the boundary of Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. Nagarjun Sagar Dam, very vital for water supply in the region of Hyderabad. So, that is in the Telangana Andhra Pradesh border, presently in the region of Nalgonda. Then Prakasam Barrage, now that is present in the region of Andhra Pradesh, very vital for irrigational purposes. So these are some of the major water storage structures, Almaty Dam and the Narayanpur Dam. These are the two dams in Karnataka. Then when you talk about Sri Sailam and Nagarjun Sagar, they are at the Andhra Telangana border. And then the Prakasam Barrage, that is situated in Andhra Pradesh. Okay. In which state of India is the Almaty Dam situated? A simple question, but these kind of questions are asked in the prelims examination. Then, in the north, in the state of Himachal Pradesh, Pong Dam was in use due to higher amount of water levels, due to which the gates of this dam were opened in order to allow the water flow. Now that created flooding situation in the downstream villages and the district. So where is this Pong Dam situated? So as you can see, at very close to the bordering region between Himachal and Punjab, that is where you have the presence of Pong Dam. In the northern portion of Pong Dam, by the way, you have a series of temples dedicated to Lord Shiva and Parvati, and that is associated basically the submerged temples. So prior to the construction of the dam and the storage of water in the reservoir, these temples were always available for visits. But now you can visit these temples only during the dry season when the water level in the reservoir goes. Now, this Pong Dam is very vital even for the pathway of the migratory species of birds. The species of birds which come from the northern portion of Asia, they take refuge particularly during the winter months. And that is why it is an important Ramsar site as well. So Pong Dam, which is also known as the Maharana Pratap Sagar Dam, it is located in the Kangra district of Himachal Pradesh and on which river? The Byas River. Where does the Byas River originate from? From the region close to the Kulu Hills and the Rohtang Pass. That is where you have the Byas River originate. It is an important Ramsar site and it is a famous wildlife and bird sanctuary as well. The Batu temples, which are also referred to as the Batu Kiladi. Now, these are the group of temples that I was talking about, which are basically partially submerged. It is dedicated to goddess Parvati and Lord Shiva, and these were submerged in the reservoir, which was created in the 1970s. So, these temples now are only accessible from May to June when the water level is low, since the monsoons reach these areas after the month of June. So here, on which river is the Pong Dam situated or located? A direct, straightforward question. Take a look at this and let us know what the correct answer is in the comment section below. Then, coming to the last portion and the last topic in news, that is Palk Bay. Now, Palk Bay has been in news owing to the Dugong Reserve, which has been created. Now, India's first Dugong Reserve in Palk Bay gains global recognition at the IUCN Congress, at the IUCN congregation. Now, Dugong is a marine herbivore mammal and it feeds on the plants, the aquatic plants which grow in the shallow areas. Now, due to hunting and the destruction of habitat, the dugong population has declined in across the world. So that is where the conservation is very, very vital. Now, here, all that we need to know is the location of the Palk Bay. So here you have the region of the Palk Bay, which meets the Arabian Sea, or rather the Bay of Bengal, to the narrow water stretch that is the Palk Strait here. The Palk Strait, mind you, ends up separating the region of India with Sri Lanka. Now, this is the area of the Dugong Conservation Reserve. Okay. Now, this is basically filled with lot of sea grasses, and that is what the dugongs they feed. So, it is situated in the southeastern coast of India and the northern coast of Sri Lanka, and it is bounded by Palk Strait in the south and Bay of Bengal in the north. It is linked to the Gulf of Mannar, to the Pamban Bridge and the Adams Bridge, a chain of limestone shoals, small island features which separates these two water bodies. So that brings us to the end of this month's edition of Places in News. I hope that we are able to answer all the questions correctly, and I hope this has added some amount of information to your existing knowledge. Now, till we meet again, do take care of yourself and don't forget that if you have liked the video, please bless us with the like, share, and the subscribe button. Take care. Goodbye. Thank you.